showcasing local talent, professionals, and everyday people making Salt Lake City what it is today. It's time for another episode of the I Am Salt Lake podcast.
How you holding up over there, Chrissy?
I'm really tired. I'm super glad that we have a 5-day weekend.
Tell me about it. I mean, the last 3 days, Salt Lake Comic-Con was here in town. It's been a crazy couple of days. Well, 3 days.
So crazy.
I know it's been a little bit longer for myself. I think I spent a little more time there than you did.
Yeah, and I'm really jealous because the last day I had my kids and I spent probably more than half the day juggling them.
Chasing them around.
And I just wanted to be at Comic-Con.
They were more interested to catch Pokemon, I think, than look at all the costumes, the cosplayers.
I'm super glad I spent all the money helping them make costumes so they could play Pokemon Go.
It was a fun few days, though, and it was my first Comic-Con that I've ever been to. So I was really excited to be able to go.
And I can't wait to hear your thoughts on that.
We're going to record an episode. Maybe the next episode I'd like to go up will be our thoughts on the Salt Lake Comic-Con. My first con, like I said, some of my thoughts about that. We got some good audio. I think I haven't listened to it from people at the con, their thoughts about it. Hopefully we'll put that on the episode. But we're just kind of recouping from the weekend.
We're definitely recouping.
It's a holiday weekend. Thank goodness. Labor Day weekend as we're recording this.
So we have one more day to sleep.
We have one more day to sleep before we go back to the day jobs.
Yep.
But we got a great episode 241.
Yes.
Really excited for it.
This upcoming Saturday, though, September 10th at Club 50 West, you and I will be at the Get Media Ready event. We'll be recording people's podcast stories.
Yeah, they're going to set up like a little story booth for us.
Yeah. It's a bunch of entrepreneurs, business professionals, coaches, startups. It's a group of those people getting together to learn from influential leaders in the media industry.
And you're actually able to get a here, let me back up a little bit. So the website getmediaready.co is where you can go get an all access pass. You get access to a full day of speakers, coaching from the media insiders. You can learn what you need to do to take your company to the next level. Listeners of the podcast, write this down. If you have a pen handy, we'll also put it in the show notes for this episode. There's a code. You're going to want to enter it at checkout. Podcast Rebel. It's going to give you half off of tickets. This is pretty crazy.
Yeah. You're lucky you're listening to our show because you get to go for half off.
Yeah. So Podcast Rebel, enter that at checkout. Today on the podcast, though, Alex Velluto, local Salt Lake City stand-up comedian. He joins Chrissy and myself. We sit down. We have a great conversation.
And we just saw him open for Tom Papa at the Wise Guys.
Oh my gosh, that was a heck of a show. That was actually the first time that I saw Alex Velluto do a full set.
Yeah.
Versus I've seen him on the Wednesday open mic stand-ups.
Yeah, and you can't really judge people off of Wednesday nights.
But I knew he's a funny guy. You were telling me he's a funny guy. I've seen his posts on Facebook.
What did you think?
Of what? His interview?
Were you surprised at how well
comedy?
he did?
Oh my gosh, he's a brilliant comedian.
Yeah, he's so brilliant.
He's definitely gonna make a name for himself in the comedy world.
I think so too.
You're going to
want
to keep an eye out for this guy. Before we get into this interview with Alex, I want to give some love to our sponsors.
Sponsors like Holy Guacamole.
I'm excited to announce the Live Holy Festival on Saturday, September 17th. It's taking place at the Sandy Amphitheater. It's absolutely free to the public to attend. The Live Holy Festival will be filled with live music, food, and headlining band Cold War Kids. We're going to put a link to find out more details at iamsaltlake.com/241. It's where you can head on over to their website, find out more about the festival. It looks like a really good time. I can't wait for it.
It looks interesting.
I mean, it's free.
And it makes me hungry for guacamole now.
I heard there's going to be a lot of guacamole there.
That will be awesome. I'm definitely going to be there.
I love guacamole. Distillery 36, they are a proud sponsor of the podcast as well. Local distillery right here from Salt Lake City.
And a proud sponsor of me visiting Comic-Con.
Oh my gosh. Brigham Rum. This is the rum you want to drink, you guys.
So great.
It's just so smooth. Tastes so wonderful. Put it in just about anything. Distillery36.com is their website. can head on over there and find out where they're at. They're at pretty much all the state local liquor
Yeah,
stores.
just go to a liquor store, check them out, pick up a bottle. We did this weekend.
I definitely picked up a bottle. Anyway, links are going to be at iamsaltlake.com/241 as well. Connect with them on Facebook. Oleo Skin and Beard.
Yeah.
Love these guys.
They came out with another new beard oil.
Oh my gosh. I picked it up at Farmer's Market this last Saturday. They call it something familiar.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that smell that maybe you were used to, maybe your dad had growing up as a kid or your grandpa. You know, that kind of that sweet.
It's very elegant.
Well, like you even said, gentlemanly.
It's sweet and gentlemanly. Like, it's not musky, but it does kind of remind you of your father or something comforting.
I love it. Gets
It is
the beard
great.
nice and soft. Oleoskin.com is their website. Head on over there. You can purchase all of their products right there on the website. Give them some love on Facebook. I know they're on Instagram as well. But like I said, on this episode, Alex Velluto, local Salt Lake City stand-up comedian, joins us. Heck of a story. Anything more you want to add, Chrissy, before we let people listen to this interview? Besides, stay tuned for after the interview. We got some more stuff to say.
That's usually all I have to say.
It's been a long
good interview.
It's been a long weekend.
It's been a really long weekend.
Well, a long 3 days. I mean, it's
Yeah.
Thank you so much, everybody, for listening to the I Am Salt Lake podcast. Here is the interview with local Salt Lake City stand-up comedian Alex Velluto. You good? You got water? Any questions
good.
before we go? Do you want a back rub?
No, I'm fine.
You want to? Well, you're the first person I've offered that to.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
Besides
wow.
Chrissy.
Special
So-
treatment.
Let's start at the beginning, though, Alex. I always like to find out where home is, where you grew up. Did you grow up here in Utah?
Yeah, from West Jordan. I still live there. I live like a mile away from my parents.
Really?
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Is that because you don't want to live further from your parents, or what? Why a mile?
Well, I met someone, like one of my friends that I'm roommates with now, and so he's had an opening, so I just moved in.
Okay, and it just happens that it's a mile.
Yeah, it's like a mile away from my house.
So have you ever left Utah at all? Like, have you moved away at all, or you've always just stayed in
Just
West Jordan?
lived here, yeah.
Right
Went
on.
on a mission and stuff. But
Where'd you go on a mission to?
to Paraguay.
Paraguay.
Do you
Yeah.
speak Paraguayese?
Yeah, it's Spanish.
I knew that. I just wanted to see if you knew that.
Yeah, well, I should.
I hope
Should
so.
know that.
What I mean, without getting too into depth, I mean, you enjoyed your mission. You
Yeah,
had
it
fun
was
on
fun.
it. It was a good experience. It was everything you imagined.
It was good.
It was good.
I was in that. I was bugged with the whole Olympics thing because they were giving Rio de Janeiro flack for
Yeah.
like not being ready or whatever. And I'm like, what do you guys? I was in South America for 2 years, and that's just how they are. They're like,
Oh,
yeah, we'll
really?
get to it when it comes time to do it.
Okay, that sounds like my kind of place.
Yeah. I wanted to talk to Ryan about Ryan Lochte.
Oh,
with
Ryan,
you,
we can
got the
finally
joke.
talk about Ryan Lochte.
How do you
I cannot
say his name? Ryan
It's
Lochte?
Lochte.
Ryan Lochte.
And I always say Lochte.
Well, do you want to talk about it now? We'll get into
We
it.
can.
We'll get into it in a little bit here.
Okay,
I kind of want to
you're
dig.
the-
I want to dig Alex's
You're the
brain.
captain of the podcast ship.
I am the
You
captain
can
of the.
steer it wherever you want.
We're going to take it off track as much as possible.
Okay.
Well, I love it though. That's the beauty of a podcast is you can kind of go whatever direction and
Well,
come back and
let's
forth.
talk more about Alex.
Yeah.
'Cause we're going to reminisce in a minute. Anyway.
We're going to get into your comedy though, but I kind of want to build a little bit of a base.
Okay.
Kind of like what you were like as a kid.
All right.
Were you a good kid? Did you get into trouble a lot, or don't you want to talk about?
I
that?
was a good kid.
Are you just saying that because you know your parents?
No, I was
are going to
good.
listen to this.
I decided to try and be funny in like 7th grade.
Oh, really? Like
'Cause
it was
none
a
of the-
decision.
Yeah, none of the kids knew who I was, and I admired funny people in elementary school. And I'm like, I should try and be funny, and I was probably just annoying for like 3 years. But
Is that so? That's kind of what started with comedy. Then that kind of got your interest, making people
Yeah.
laugh.
Who did you look up to and try to emulate?
like comedians?
Yeah, I mean, in 7th grade, when you thought I want to
Oh,
be funny,
okay.
who were you thinking?
See, when
of?
I was a kid, when I was about 7th grade,
Uh-huh.
I was Dick Van Dyke was my guy.
Man,
Oh. I
Love
think
Dick
the
Van Dyke.
first comedian I ever listened to is Victor Borga. Do you know that
I'm not
guy?
familiar with him.
I
He's
know
like this
the name.
Austrian dude that does jokes and plays the piano. He's really silly. He would like play the da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da song, but he played it backwards and then he turned the page around and said it was upside down. It's just a bunch of... And then Seinfeld was my first, like... I saw the Seinfeld, the stand-up before the show, and that was my first exposure to, like, stand-up comedy.
So before you even watched Seinfeld, like any episodes of the TV show, you were watching a stand-up? Is that what?
No, they do the...
Oh,
you know those stand-up clips before
the show. Okay, I misunderstood
that
you.
was
My bad there.
My first introduction to the genre.
Okay.
I thought it was cool, though.
Because I was impressed. I was like, wow, you were watching Jerry Seinfeld.
Yeah, I know. That would be impressive.
Show. So comedy. I mean, let's jump right into stand-up comedy. Because I know even Chrissy, you were talking, Chrissy, before. Mm-hmm. Well, I want to hear Alex's story here.
Yeah.
What got him interested in doing stand-up comedy? What? Yeah, talk about that.
I think every comedian, they have someone tell them at some point in their life, you should do stand-up. I was just like funny in high school, and so people would tell me that, and I was already into it. Like, I think it was since like 7th or 8th grade, I would write down like joke premises.
That's
I still
awesome.
look at the notebooks, and they're mostly like homophobic premises, because that's just how people were in middle school. It was okay back then. It was like, Darth Vader is gay. That was the whole joke. I look back at those notebooks and I'm like, wow, I was not a nice person. But I would write. I didn't try it until high school.
So you still have these notebooks?
I still have them.
That's awesome.
I did a show at the U once where I said, okay, I've got these notebooks from like middle school and high school, and most of these joke premises I don't remember, or they're homophobic. And so I like flipped through them at random and picked one and tried to reconstruct what I was thinking back in high school.
Awesome. How did that go?
Not good, but it was supposed to not be good.
Solid point.
So what about the first time you did open mic then? Talk about that.
I can't remember. I remember it going well, but looking back on the jokes I did, it can't have gone well.
Where did you do it at?
It was at the Wise Guys in West Valley when it was around.
Okay.
Back in like 2006. And I did stand up like off and on for like junior and senior year of high school. And then.
Okay.
Wow, so you've been doing it a while.
And then I like went on a mission and stuff, and I didn't start again in earnest until like 3.5 years ago. So whenever people ask me how long I've been doing it, I say like 3 years.
So should we edit that out that you were doing it in junior or
no,
high
let people
Don't
know of my
tell
mysterious past of doing stand-up in high school.
So which open mic should we refer to? Let's say the one you did 3.5 years ago. I mean,
that's the point where I started going like every week.
You were like, this is something I really, really want to do and really want to pursue.
Uh-huh.
How, like, the first time, I mean, how did it hit you? I mean, what?
Well, the first time I was super nervous, and it went well with my bad jokes. And someone came out to me in the parking lot and asked me if I could do like the Sunday show, and I couldn't do it that week.
After your first open mic?
Yeah.
Oh, the 3 years ago first open mic.
The one in high school.
Really?
And then I would go, because back then they only did it like every 2 weeks. And I would miss a lot of them because I had like track practice and stuff. And it was just hard to do it in high school, but I would go once every month or once every couple months. I think before, like during high school, I did it a total of 10 times over 2 years. So yeah, I really liked it. It was really fun. You just get addicted to laughs and trying out jokes and stuff.
Oh,
then when I came back 3 years ago, I had stuff that I knew sort of worked already.
So you already had some jokes and some premises.
You spent 2 years thinking about premises?
Yeah, I would.
That's what you were doing on your mission.
I did come up with some premises on my mission.
Would they make sense here, or were they like...
No, there was this
cultural
fire extinguisher in the MTC that had the instructions to the fire extinguisher in Braille. And that's a joke I do, like, why are we expecting blind people to put fires out?
To know where the fire is?
Yeah. So that was... You should come see it live. I'm not going to do the bit on a podcast. It's
hard to do a bit.
It's a super great bit.
I like your McDonald's bit. This is why everyone needs to go to one of your shows.
Yeah.
Who are some of your comedic influences right now? Like, who are some of the people that you look up to in the comedy world?
So many. I like Seinfeld, Regan, Louis C.K., John Mulaney, Gary Goldman, Tig Notaro, Dimitri Martin. I've been watching a ton of Norm Macdonald lately on YouTube. He's so funny.
So you kind of just you have different
I have
ones,
a
different
ton
flavors.
I listen to a ton of stand-up. Like, I don't listen to music anymore. Hardly at all. It's
Just stand-up,
podcasts
It
and
gets
stand-up.
addicting though to listen to podcasts and stand up.
Yeah.
Have you ever done stand up outside of Utah?
I've done it in like Wyoming and Idaho. I headlined a gay bar up in Idaho.
How'd that go?
It was fun. They were like, you can say whatever you want. And they were very disappointed after I said whatever I wanted.
Because you're a
wasn't.
clean comic.
Yeah, I'm cleaner. And so they were like, okay, well, I guess that's all you wanted to say.
At least they were receptive,
Yeah.
which
They do
isn't
these-
always the case.
They have these runs you can go on. And so I've done some shows up in like Montana too. Those are all the places I've been.
How do you
for
even
comedy.
okay, so how do you even find out about those gigs in like Montana or Wyoming? Or
It's just your friend ends up doing it and then they let you know. Like, I think first Tribble gigs I did were for Todd Johnson, who started here and he tours around, and he invited me to go on this run of gigs with him up through like, I think it was Idaho Falls and then 2 places in Montana. It's a lot of driving, but it was fun. I like doing those terrible road gigs. They're pretty fun just because you get to say you did them.
That's true.
would you like to? I mean, do you see yourself as like a comedian that does like travel the U.S.? Is that
I'd
something
like
that
to.
you
Yeah,
would
that's
like
the
to do?
That's the objective.
Yeah, because I mean, I've talked to some, and I mean, I know Chrissy's even been on some of the episodes where, you know, some people like I know you, Chrissy. I mean,
Yeah.
you that doesn't appeal to you.
I don't want to be a
right?
road dog.
Is that more
Yeah.
because you have kids?
Probably.
Yeah.
Also, it really sounds terrible.
Does it?
Every
See, to me,
comedian-
that would sound like just the raddest thing ever.
It probably gets old
Every
after a
comedian
while.
that I talk
but
to, you know, hear talk about it, says how like lonely it is and how it just gets really, really old after a
Oh
while. and
my
you
gosh,
just
what are
wanna
you
go home.
talking about? All those women just wanting to flock you? And
Well,
just, come on.
that, you know, that's also a thing.
Yeah. I mean, right? Does that not attract you, Alex?
not that much.
Really?
I don't want to
He's
get
in it for the actual
strange
comedy.
at
You're in it for like
bars.
the right reasons.
the ladies that were showing up at those gigs in Montana were not my kind of people. They were like all these older girls. The guy I was opening for was like trying to get me to sign someone's boob.
Oh,
It
man.
was just like, I
Did you?
wasn't interested? Nah.
Oh.
Just the mic, yeah, just
I'll
a little
get
bit
closer to
kind
it.
of falling away from that.
My
Just wanna-
bad.
wanna- no, you're fine. Just want to get you the best,
All the way.
the best sound, the best sound.
Best sound. So after like doing comedy for all the amount of time that you've been doing it off and on, what is your favorite part?
I like writing new material and getting it to work. That gives me a lot of satisfaction, especially like you feel good if it's immediately good after your first try, and you also feel good if it's like really bad for a long time and then you finally get it to work.
Like you find the magic solution.
Yeah, I like figuring jokes out like that.
Yeah.
How many times do you know like to do a joke though? You know what I mean? Like how many times do you get up on stage and try it before you're like
Forever?
I'm going to toss this? It's not
Before
getting-
you toss it?
Yeah, like you know what I mean. Like maybe
Like
doesn't
if
get
it doesn't work?
Yeah, like say you don't get a reaction right away, right? Like you wrote this joke, you think it's got an awesome premise, and you're like, okay, I'm going to say
Depends on
it.
the joke and like how much I
Into
want
the
to get
joke?
it to work. Like there's some jokes I try a few times and they don't work and they weren't that important to me.
Huh.
So I toss them after that. I'm working on these jokes about how compliments make me uncomfortable, and no one has laughed at them yet, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to keep trying them until I
One
figure
day.
it out. Yeah.
Because it's something you want to write a joke
Yeah,
about.
because
Yeah.
I don't know. It feels validating to me when I get people to laugh at something I'm insecure about. Like,
Yeah.
if,
And that's a great premise because a lot of people can actually relate.
Well, so far they haven't related to it at all.
Well,
I think people like getting complimented, and I'm the only one that doesn't like it. Or I say I don't. I'm figuring it out.
Do you not like to get complimented?
Nah.
Really?
Well,
Like even if
I
you
guess
do a
I
good
do.
job, like a pat
The
on the
joke
back
I
or
do
something?
that I've tried to do is that I like getting complimented, but it only feels good after the person that gave me the compliment is gone.
Sure.
yeah.
Because the worst is you have to accept it in front of the person.
You don't know how to gracefully accept it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I say I wish that I could, whenever I get a compliment, I could accept it in private.
Sure.
Like I could go off and be like, excuse me while I go into my compliment chamber. And I could look myself in a mirror in the room and be like, you did great. And then walk back out.
Is your family? Do they come out to your shows at all? Like, is your family
Yeah, every
pretty
once
supportive?
in a while. Mm-hmm.
Does that make it? Is it harder or easier to do it in front of family like that? To me, it would be hard. I don't know.
Yeah, it would be
Couple
hard
times
to me
that
too.
I've headlined, my mom has decided to sit in the front row.
That's
Kind
awkward.
of threw me off a little bit, just because I keep looking over to see if she's
Does it
laughing.
does it make you feel like a small child?
a
A little bit like,
That was my first memory.
yeah.
It was
Well,
when
you're
I
in
was
the
like
living room.
3, and I asked my mom like why she didn't laugh at me anymore because she would laugh at my little sister.
Oh, that's so sad.
And what got etched in my memory was her saying, which she didn't say, but I remember her saying, well, because you're not funny anymore. So my first memory is like thinking I got to think of material. But I asked her later about it, and she's like, oh, no, I just told you that you told me that you didn't like getting laughed at because I was a little kid. I was like, don't laugh at me. But I remembered it differently for all those years.
Well, at least it was an inspiration for you to like learn material.
Let's actually. I want to talk about that actually for a minute. I forgot you recently did some headline shows. Were those your first headlining shows that you've done?
At Wise Guys, yeah. I had done some at the Covey Center in Provo, in like this room that Rodney Norman booked. It's like this ballet studio.
Okay.
And then I
Oh
did.
yeah, I've done that one too. The Clean Comedy Night. Yeah.
And then I did one at a Jewish deli, Feldman's Deli. Someone asked
Where's
me
that at?
Up in Sugar House.
Like inside a deli, you did a comedy show.
I did.
Were there
Yeah, I had
like,
to do 50
Were there
minutes.
people there?
Yeah,
or
there were
were
people there, and there were people coming in to get sandwiches. I was right next to the door, like right where I'm sitting here, and there was a door to my left.
And
So
you're
there would be customers coming in and out,
And
like
you're just-
buying sandwiches, and I'd have to just.
Did they actually have a crowd for you, or
Yeah,
did you
there
kind
was
of
a
bring
pretty
the crowd?
good. There was a decent crowd.
Interesting.
So how did that come about? I mean, talk about this. This comedy at a deli. I mean, that's just bizarre.
I know this guy named Keith Barony
Okay.
that books these things, and he knows me, and he asked me to do it. I liked it. I'd do it again if you're listening, Keith Barony. It was fun. And then I headlined.
Alex and deli meats.
Yeah.
Perfect
And I headlined
combo.
that gay bar in Idaho.
Okay.
And so I'd done those 3 before I did the Wise Guys ones. And those Wise Guys ones were way fun too. I like doing that longer sets.
Is that basically the difference between doing a show at like one of those other places versus Wise Guys? Is the set is a little longer?
Oh,
Or
no,
is
when
that-
you
no,
headline, you
okay.
just do like 45
I
minutes to
gotcha,
an
I
hour
gotcha.
set. And so those are always fun to do.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
Was it tough to come up with that much material, or I mean, is it just years of collecting it, or?
No, I had it already. I'm like trying to perfect some of it. But lately
You've been slowly
I've been
accumulating.
Yeah. Lately I've been trying to practice the material in chunks. So I'll practice one like 7 to 10 minute chunk on weekend shows and then practice another one. And then when I headline, I'm just doing like 4 or 5 of those chunks that I've already practiced.
That's
in
a way
row.
smart way to think about it.
Yeah. It
I like
it
that.
made it easier to memorize the order and stuff.
I like that.
Yeah, I do too. I'm gonna steal that idea.
Do it.
All right, good.
What's the worst part for you for doing comedy? Like, yeah, is there something that you're just like, this is the worst part of it all?
The business side, like figuring out, I don't know what to do other than like write jokes. And
Yeah.
sometimes I get invited to do things, but I'm not sure.
Like what? I mean, for people listening.
Well,
that
right
might
now
not
I'm
even-
trying to decide what my next step in comedy is, if I want to move to like New York or LA or Seattle or Chicago or something, or I don't know. I'm bad at networking too, just because I'm weird with people.
Why do comedians, and maybe I've talked about this, so I apologize, but why I'm curious why comedians feel they need to move to such like cities like that to be successful.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like there's like agents and bookers that are watching shows in those cities. If you get high enough, you eventually get seen. You can, like now with the internet, you can probably get discovered on the internet by doing sketches and stuff. Mm-hmm. And I've tried to do a little bit of that, but I'm not very good at planning things.
Do you have like a YouTube channel where you actually post a lot of your sets?
Yeah. The Happy Valley Broadcast is the name of the YouTube channel. We've got mine and Jordan Macon's stand up on there, and then I've got a couple sketches that we've done.
Wait, is this the podcast you were talking about that you did? You do the podcast with Jordan?
Yeah.
Okay. Because
Yeah.
I don't know if what's the podcast? I don't know if I've listened.
Happy Valley Podcast.
Okay, so you do it with. Do you live in Provo?
No.
Okay,
he does, and
I
he
didn't know.
started it
You
with
drove
his
all the way
friend.
up here for this.
Yeah, he started the podcast with his friend Brian Mortensen, and then I became friends with Jordan, and he told me he had a podcast, so I listened to it. And on his podcast, they would like talk through his jokes and how he's been trying to work on them and fix them. And I like
That's
to get,
actually a brilliant concept.
yeah, I like to get sort of technical with jokes sometimes. So I'm like, hey, can I come on your podcast and talk through some joke ideas that I can't get to work? And he let me come on, and then I did it so often that they just said, you can be a co-host on this thing.
That is so
it's
cool.
the Happy Valley Podcast.
Yeah.
Get it in iTunes,
It's
Stitcher
mostly-
Radio.
Yeah. We've got iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play. I think we've got all of them.
Sure.
And it's just me and Jordan talking mostly. Talk basketball, if you like Utah Jazz. Talk about just stuff that's happened in comedy.
Sure.
Yeah.
Do you find it to be helpful though to talk about?
Yeah,
like,
that's
to do the podcast.
The podcast helps me be funny in a different way because I get to talk just off the cuff about stuff happening in the world or stuff that's bugging me.
Sure.
Yeah, it's a whole different
Yeah.
medium.
I think I've bored them with like trying to talk about jokes though.
Really?
They seem disinterested
done.
now.
See, I think that would be, I'm not aware of any podcast where comedians get together and actually discuss like the science of their jokes, and the structure and, but
See, I think that sounds great.
that sounds like
Yeah.
the most brilliant
Yeah.
podcast ever for people who are still learning comedy and still learning how to write jokes. That would be an amazing, resource.
Yeah.
Like I say,
think
keep
so.
doing it because I'm gonna listen.
or have you ever thought about starting a different podcast, or are you kind of stuck with the Happy
No,
Valley?
I like being with Jordan and working with
Yeah.
him. And he does all the editing and stuff. So
So you're just
Yeah.
like I'm just there.
Hitch
Well, that's
onto
kinda-
that
That's like
bandwagon.
Chrissy when she jumped in on this.
Yeah.
I do all the editing, I everything like that. Well,
Yeah.
no, she's offered to help, but I'm kind of a stubborn old
Yeah.
man.
He's a
also
little,
just
yeah.
talking to Jordan, I feel like I have good comedy chemistry with him,
And that's huge.
Yeah.
You can't like create chemistry. It just happens.
yeah.
that's
I
solid.
did one episode where I just tried to do the you talk for an hour just by yourself about yourself. There's only one episode of that. I felt very
Is it available anywhere?
Yeah, it's available.
Wait, this
You
is
can
a,
listen
this
to
is
it.
a Happy Valley episode.
Yeah, we're doing all sorts of different stuff all the time. Like
Yeah.
a couple episodes I interviewed my dad, who's a comic book artist.
See, and I think that would be fun to do a podcast to like interview my mom, interview my siblings.
Yeah, like family
But
stories.
I just don't know
or-
if they fit into the whole I am Salt Lake thing. I mean, first of
Yeah.
all, they live in Provo, so it's kind of like they're not Salt Lake.
Yeah, they
No.
haven't earned it.
No, I mean, I brought people on here from Provo, though, and Ogden. So I don't know. Maybe,
Yeah.
but my mom's my mom. I mean, I don't,
That'd be cool.
would it be cool? Would you want to listen to an interview with my mom?
I wouldn't, but I bet no. I'm just kidding.
Oh, you're a jokester.
You mean you set me up so perfectly?
Yeah.
That was a fat alley oop you gave me. I can't not.
So what
Slam dunk that
advice
one.
would you give somebody? I ask this really every comedian that comes. Advice for somebody who wants to get into comedy.
Just go to open mic. As far as open mic goes, I see two problems with new open micers. They either try and do something different every time, or they do the exact same thing every time. And you want to be somewhere in the middle.
Now, what do you mean the exact same thing?
Like they do the same jokes that haven't worked for every open mic every time. And they don't change anything, or they might be changing it, but I'm not noticing the little nuances. But I'd try to do like 2 or 3 different sets of 3 minutes and cycle through those and dump stuff that's not working. That way you're doing something, like you're working on stuff, but you're not like stuck on the same thing or going too broad. And try and be clean at first, probably, because I think you got to be better as a comedian to get away with dirty. And then if you work clean at the beginning, there's more shows you can get on.
Well, and if you work clean, you're actually focusing on like the content of the jokes and being more clever, don't you think?
Yeah. And once you get your chops down, like go ahead.
Throw an F-bomb in there.
Yeah, go ahead and do whatever you want.
See, I would just be a filthy comic, I think. I would just be the dirtiest, raunchiest comic and cigarette hanging out of my mouth and just, oh man, I would just have too much fun.
Sounds like something that needs to happen.
Yeah, you've talked about
I know
comedy a bunch.
I've talked about
What's holding you back?
Honestly, I think I just need some help writing jokes.
You
Putting
got
the structure to lay it out.
what premises you got? You got any premises?
He has some good premises.
We're not going to talk about it.
Oh, why not?
not?
Let's turn this into my podcast.
Yeah, this is all about Alex.
Okay.
Now. Let's talk about. Okay,
I do like talking about me.
Embarrassing moments on stage. I know you have one or two, right? If we all do.
Yeah, there's a story I'm working on doing on stage. I did this outdoor festival, and I invited this girl to come because I thought it would be... It was on this big stage, and I was expecting there to be like hundreds of people, so I thought it'd be cool to have her see me do it. And I get there, and it had been raining.
Oh, no.
So like 15 people had showed up, and they're all in this tent like 50 yards away from the stage. And so I can't get any feedback on my jokes, which is what I like about comedy, because I know where I stand.
You get like
people.
immediate reactions.
Yeah, it's very binary. Like I'm either doing well in this social interaction or I'm not. But like with the crowd 50 yards away, I feel like I'm right back on the like autism spectrum that I'm normally on. And so after every joke, I'm like, was that funny or not? And then it was just bad. There's this little kid in the front, and he was heckling me. He was 8 years old. And he was like the only one that was close to the stage, so I was like playing to him. And I was at one point, I'm like, I'm killing it with this 8-year-old kid. And he said, I have not laughed, not even once. Which is the meanest heckle I've ever gotten. It was from like an 8-year-old kid. I've been doing like bars and stuff, and no one's been that mean as that 8-year-old little kid.
But the 8-year-old will be honest.
Yeah, well, he was very honest. He did not like my historical jokes at all. I did like 7 minutes on Thomas Jefferson, and he wasn't into it.
He didn't even know who he was.
Nah.
Yet. What motivates you when you don't want to write or you don't want to go to open mic? What keeps you going?
We all have those times, man.
That's a good question.
Or is your life perfect and you're super happy to do it all the time?
Most of the time I like going to do comedy. There's been some slumps that I've gotten in, and then I just try and like work on new jokes, because usually I get down about comedy when I feel like I'm in a slump creatively. Mm-hmm. So like one time I was not feeling comedy, and I had to do this show up at BYU. It was like BYU versus Utah comedy competition or something. And so I did all new jokes. That's where I did like the 8th grade premises, and I did like prop comedy. I just did all this weird stuff, and it got me back into it.
Yeah. Sometimes you got to do a show or like an open mic or whatever, just that you know it's going to suck, but you have to do it just for fun for you.
Yeah.
It seems like.
Sometimes I shy away from those shows, and I shouldn't, but they're fun when I do them. I tend to shy away from shows where it's like mostly comics. Because I have like weird
It's hard to play to comics.
Weirder jokes. And they're not like jokes comics would laugh at all the time.
Well, you see, and this is what I've always admired about you. You have very intelligent jokes.
Oh,
like your
thanks.
jokes are very well thought out, and they, like, you have to actually kind of know stuff or think about stuff. It's not just like the everyman joke. They're based on
What's
an
the
intellectual
everyman
premise.
joke here, Chrissy? I want to learn. I want to learn.
I mean, something that like
Teach me your ways.
I don't know. I mean, I can't. The everyman joke.
you
like,
farted.
Well,
Yeah,
like that.
exactly,
I don't
like that,
know.
like
Like,
that.
you know what I mean?
Well, like right now, I'm working on this silly joke about how I hate water, like swimming in it, drinking it, and that. I mean, if I do that at one of those, I feel like I couldn't work on that because part of the joke is me being like, "Look how lame this topic is." That I'm just talking about water for 4 minutes.
like that's
And
kind
so
of
like I would do that at like a bigger open mic with like an actual audience rather than like just a comics only open mic.
It's hard to play to comics because they're always everywhere at every open mic, and they hear your jokes, and so like they're good moral support, but you can't get like a gut laugh reaction. You can't get an initial feedback like you can with people who don't always hear.
If I have like a very
jokes.
very loose idea and I want to talk about it and I think because I do have some jokes I think comics would laugh at and I would want to try those, I go to those shows. There have been some shows where I've developed some material like that just with a loose idea. I'm usually more like rote. Sorry, I feel like this is super boring.
What is?
Getting crazy technical about
No, man, I'm finding it very interesting. Because, I mean, especially me, and I'm sure people listening right now, you know, like you said, okay, I talk about it. I do because really at the end of the day, I don't even know where to start with joke writing.
I think most people
like
don't.
where do you start with joke writing? To me, it's not that simple to just get a piece of paper out or to get my computer out and write. So it's like, how do you do it? I guess you just listen to comedy and it just pieces together.
Yeah, you listen
or
to
what?
comedy and those rhythms and stuff get in your head, and then you think of like an idea. Like it's usually something funny you say to someone in conversation, and if you think that's like something that can be universally applicable to like a crowd of people,
Sure.
that they would understand, then that's a good comedy premise. And then you can write it out word for word how you think it should go the first time. You can try and
Just lots of
wing
tweaking.
it on stage. There's different styles of ways you can do it.
And I think it's kind of different for everybody. And that's the hard part is like figuring out the way that works for you is painful. It's kind of a painful process unless you just enjoy writing jokes.
Well, I always liked Seinfeld. He was like the first guy I saw, and he's probably still my favorite. And I know he writes stuff out word for word. And he's done like this interview with the New York Times where he explained his joke writing process. And I kind of copied that at first. But then over time, I feel like I'm starting to get a little looser. Like mostly I just write stuff verbally in my car. Like sometimes I put the Bluetooth headset in my ear when I'm driving.
Yeah.
So it looks like I'm talking on the phone, but really I'm like working out jokes.
Material.
Yeah.
That's actually a brilliant way to do it. I think
Like voice
Like-
memo on your phone. Stuff
Oh,
like that.
I'm not
Just talking to
recording it.
yourself.
I'm just trying to like talk out the idea.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I feel weird doing that in like my house because my roommates might hear.
it's kind of a
something.
weird thing. I mean, it's not. It's a weird thing to do because like you look crazy. But if you can get over the feeling of people noticing,
Yeah.
it's a great way to like keep trying stuff out and know how the rhythm of it would go. That's
Because
huge.
sometimes I've written stuff out word for word and then I try and say it and it sounds stupid.
Yeah.
I like to always find out a little bit more. I got some fun questions here for you, buddy.
Shoot.
He's ready for me.
Random
He
stuff.
knows where we're going with this one here. What's the strangest thing you've ever eaten?
I ate cat unknowingly when I was in Paraguay. They invited us over for hamburgers.
Oh my gosh.
And I ate them, and they tasted semi-normal. Most stuff in Paraguay tasted a little weird. And then a week later, they were like, "Oh, I didn't want to tell you at the time, but we had run out of money, and so we found a cat and
Who?
it to you.
Like somebody you were teaching?
I think they remember.
Like a ward member.
Yeah.
So like, was
God.
it good?
It was fine.
I couldn't imagine
understood
that.
him.
Man.
Imagine
Like, I hadn't.
Charles. I mean,
Someone cooked up Charles for us.
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, there were cats everywhere.
Did you
in
feel
Paraguay.
guilty?
Yeah, yeah, that was the weird part about it. Usually you'd
Yeah.
be like, hey, man, what the heck are you serving me a cat for?
yeah.
But they were like, oh, we didn't have any money, so I was the one
Oh,
that
that's
felt guilty.
so sad.
Yeah.
Huh.
So I ate that. I had like pig brain at one point.
Ew, really?
Yeah.
Was that good?
No.
Oh, worth a try though.
Do you want to try pig brain, Chrissy?
I kind of want to try a little bit of everything
All right.
because I'm weird. So
Who would you most like to be stuck in an elevator with?
We'll say Seinfeld. That guy's interesting. I'd like to meet
He
him.
would be a great guy.
he would, yeah, unless he was super pissed that he was stuck in an
Yeah.
elevator with you, and then it would probably
I
suck.
watched that Comedians in Cars show, and he doesn't seem like he seems very irritable.
Yeah, I kind of get that feeling that
He's just
in
like,
real
"Leave
life.
me alone. I'm Jerry.
I'd like to meet him, like, and have him like me, but like I'm so weird about famous people anyway that
You get
I don't
starstruck?
think it would go well. Yeah.
Have you seen the episode of 30 Rock with Jerry Seinfeld in it? Uh-huh. That is such a good episode. Everyone should watch it. Just saying.
What was your first thought when you woke up this morning?
I think
Is that like every morning, or is that your Monday
I think
morning?
my brain is screaming every morning. The thought is usually like 5 more minutes.
It's like,
and I hit the
crap, I
snooze.
didn't die again.
I hit the snooze alarm. I have such a hard time waking up.
I think everybody does.
Yeah,
I
waking up
used to be
sucks.
such a morning person.
Oh,
like I could
really?
just wake up. If my alarm would go off at 7, I could be like up. I'm ready. Didn't even need caffeine. Nothing. And now it's like, it takes like 2 hours for my brain to wake up to even drive a car.
I have zero respect for morning people. I think
They're just
I'm
so
glad you're not a
annoying.
morning person anymore. Morning people, they're like freaks.
Yeah.
Well, they're
Mutants
so
who
happy.
Yeah, they enjoy waking up is painful, and they
It's so painful.
they enjoy something that's painful. They're like sadists.
I mean, I don't know.
they're
Am
like-
I a happy person? And I'm not.
They seem
You're a
like a
happy person.
sociopath.
He's still a happy person
Okay.
in the morning.
I'm not miserable.
I would always
but he's not
resent-
like skipping around the apartment singing.
Yeah.
Those people are crazy because I've
Yeah.
seen that.
I don't know. I just
We can
You're
still be
okay.
friends if you're a
You're
morning
right.
person. It's
we could.
fine.
Well, I was
You just,
hoping.
like, you just
I
gotta be
I'll
careful
just
and put up some
respect you a little
boundaries.
less.
just respect.
I'm just kidding.
If you could be one age for a week, any age, what would it be?
I was in pretty good shape, like 18. I'll be 18 again.
Good age.
Can I have my brain still from now? Like
That's a solid question.
a cynical like 27-year-old brain in an 18-year-old body. That'd be pretty cool.
That would be hilarious. Nobody would take you seriously, though.
They don't.
All right, here we
now.
go. If you were forced to only watch one DVD set of one season of one TV show for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Might be Seinfeld season 4.
Was that the best season?
That has like the most like famous episodes in it. I think it's got like maybe it's season 6 that has like the soup Nazi. There's a bunch of good ones in that season. Usually when I'm picking the DVDs to watch, I get season 6.
Have you ever been banned from somewhere public?
No.
Never.
I listened to Aaron Orlovitz's. His was funny.
Yeah.
How they threw McDonald's at the person.
I can't even imagine doing that. You're just too nice to get banned
I
from anywhere.
did that. We didn't get caught or banned. In high school, we took like this. We bought a bird from PetSmart and let it go in the mall. That's pretty funny.
That actually is funny. If you could do anything for your next birthday, what would you do?
I want to go to New York. I always wanted to go there.
Have you ever been to New York?
No.
Like
Would
New
you-
York City,
airport?
Manhattan?
I'm planning on going soon. I just want to check it out.
What would you
and see
do
what
while
it's
you're
like.
there? Like
Just
what?
watch comedy shows. I've always
Yeah.
wanted to watch a show in the Comedy Cellar. That place
That
is
would be
like
cool.
comedy mecca.
So New York City, you've been in New York City, right, Chrissy?
Nope,
No?
never
Okay.
been.
New York City, beautiful city, amazing city. I always dreamt of living there one day. I used to live a couple hours south of New York City. But that city, what happens there, and I see it, is it's so big it just swallows you up. You're just like a little speck in the ground, in the dirt. You know what I mean? And so like that's kind of where I've always been curious with the whole comedy thing, where it's like, do you
Why
think?
would you move somewhere where you don't stand out?
And that's where I want. I mean, and I'm genuinely curious here on this one. It's more like, gosh, wouldn't you want to go somewhere where people are going to remember you? Like if you go to like a big city, like New York City or L.A., no one's going to remember you. I don't know. Maybe they do. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I have a weird...
I'm not sure how the politics and everything, how the comedy scene is.
Sure.
That's probably
Andy's
a huge
told me
part.
that it's like, it's pretty bad when you're starting out. Like you'd end up doing a lot of those open mics where it's just comics. Mm-hmm. But if I think you have a job there.
All comics come back to Salt Lake though,
Yeah.
man. Look at that.
I don't know.
Most that have moved away, they all come back to Salt Lake.
Yeah, but I want to try it out.
Yeah.
That's the big leagues. I want to get there someday.
Yeah.
I'd probably want to like live in Queens or something because being around a lot of people bothers me. That's the one plus of living in the Salt Lake Valley. It's like enough people that you don't feel like you're in the country, but it's just enough that you're not bugged
not
by
too many
people.
See, in you, I definitely recommend everybody needs a chance to move away. I moved away for a while. I mean, and maybe one day I'll move away again. You never know. Especially you. I mean, you've lived here your whole life, besides Paraguay.
Yeah.
You know, get out and go to
I
Queens,
like going
man.
other places.
I expect to see you in New York
Queens.
next year.
Wasn't that okay? King of Queens, right? Were you a fan of that show? King of
Yeah,
Queens.
it's pretty funny.
Right?
Just Queens seems like suburby, and it's not out in the middle of nowhere, but there's still people. It seems like the West Jordan equivalent of the state of New York.
If you could ask the president one question, what would it be?
I'd like to ask Donald Trump a lot of
That's
questions.
what I was going to say. I'm more curious to ask like if you could pick the president or a presidential candidate and ask them any question, because this is obviously an interesting year.
Yeah.
Well, I like...
What would you ask Donald Trump? No.
My like for Obama has gone up so much
He's
in
great,
the
isn't he?
presidential this presidential campaign.
I'm just like, can't Obama just stay in office?
No kidding. Let's see. What's something I would ask him if he likes the outfit I was wearing at the time. I don't know. Just something stupid.
So what do you think, Mr. Obama?
No, I'd probably want to play hoops with him. That'd be cool.
Yeah,
would be
right?
cool.
Wouldn't that be cool?
Yeah. I hear he's got a pretty good jump shot.
I'd smoke a cigarette or something. Hey,
be pretty
Obama,
cool.
would you smoke a cigarette with me?
Yeah.
Smoke a joint? You know? I don't
Me and
know.
Obama and the
Well,
Roots
his daughter
could hang
did. I'm
out or
sure he would
something.
too.
Let's see here. Okay, we have some fun questions to ask you.
Okay.
Salt Lake City related questions. I know you listen to the podcast. You're ready for these questions. If somebody was visiting Salt Lake City for one day,
Oh, dang.
what would you tell them to
man.
do or to check out?
Go to Wise Guys. Come hang out at my house. What's cool other than Temple Square is like the thing everyone says, and you do have to do that.
Yeah, you got to do Temple. If you've never visited Salt Lake City,
Yeah.
you got to do
It's a
Temple Square.
landmark.
Yeah. If it's during Speed Week, like the Bonneville, I've never been to the Bonneville Salt Flats, but I've always wanted to go check out like the cars that break the sound barrier.
Sure.
That seems something that'd be cool. Man, my answers are so boring.
So you'd tell people to time their visit for when.
Yeah,
They do
come
Speed
during
Week.
Speed Week
Hey.
and invite me along.
No.
Because I've never been.
You got good at okay, favorite local eating spots.
Okay, this one I know. All right, as far as pizza goes, you hit up Terra Mia, and that's in Orem. Sette Bello in Salt Lake is good. There's one in Bountiful called Ti Amo. That's good pizza. Those are all wood fire oven pizzas.
Wow, look at this
Nice.
guy knows his pizza.
Yeah, you're on
Then-
top of it. Better than brick oven pizza?
Yeah, I
All
think
right,
so.
cool.
What about
Crust-
Este Pizza? Do you like Este
I
Pizza?
don't think I've been there.
Really?
Need to go check it out.
Yeah, go do some Este
I've
Pizza.
been eating a lot of Mo Betta's lately. It's Hawaiian food.
Okay, I
pork
had
is
Mo Betta
good.
there a while ago. Have you ever had
So
Mo Betta?
good.
No, but I want it now.
A while ago, couple years ago. I've had
Last
some-
couple weeks, I've been eating it every other day. It's super good.
Do you work by a Mo Betta? Is that what?
No, I drive.
You
Really.
drive out of the way. Hey, when you have a craving, you have a craving.
Yeah, their pork
important.
is super good. Get the pork. What else do I like to eat?
You definitely seem like a local eating spot
Yes, I eat
guru
too
there.
much.
You can't eat too much ever.
One more place, anything. Comes to
Okay,
mind.
let's see. Do they don't have Cafe Rio much outside of Utah.
No,
Gotta
Cafe,
hit-
you know, Cafe
I had that
Rio,
before I
think, is
came.
It's actually it's
a local
Utah
favorite.
company.
It's a
Yeah.
local favorite.
Well, it started.
Sure.
It started here, so I think it's a Utah business.
Yeah, hit up those pizza places though. Those are good pizza places.
I want pizza now.
They're super good.
What if you could change one thing or one or two things about Salt Lake City? What would you change?
I don't drink, but I think the liquor laws are sort of stupid. It makes us look weird.
See, okay, here we go. I have a question.
Yeah.
On that tip, since you don't drink, do you feel that the liquor laws here make you feel a little safer though? Besides the weird part, do you feel like, well, we're keeping
man, I
the
don't care.
drunk drivers off the road because we got these weird liquor laws?
No, just let it flow. Just
Yeah.
stop being so silly about it.
Yeah.
What, you have to like do it behind a curtain like in The Wizard of Oz? Seems nuts. And this way I
that.
seem super cool because I have no skin in the game whatsoever. Drink up.
Little does everybody know,
That was a water bottle.
Alex
he
is
just held up.
drinking a bottle of.
They spiked
What
my
kind of
drink.
beer is that you're drinking? What kind of beer is that? So before we wrap this podcast up, words of wisdom, piece of advice, any little grains of salt of wisdom from Alex.
Go visit Mormon.org. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know.
Should we put that link in the show? notes,
Yeah,
right?
put it in the
you know.
show notes.
It's your show. You tell us what you
I
want.
get heaven credits.
Heaven credits. No,
Jesus
just
points.
something. Just I don't. If not, that's fine too. You know, it could be something the silliest thing you've ever thought of. Just piece of advice from Alex.
Don't listen to my advice. That's my advice.
Piece of advice number one.
I give myself advice, and it's usually not good. And so don't listen to me. Take that as you want.
How can people find you? Like the best. Do you have a website?
I got Facebook, Alex Velluto, Twitter at Alex Velluto, and Instagram, a Velluto. I should get a website.
You need to. I think so.
If I do, it will probably be alexvelluto.com.
.com.
Better be careful. I'm
check
going to
and
go
see if
home
it's
and
available.
I'm
Man, are you
going to
gonna outbid
We're
me
gonna
on
register it and
GoDaddy?
then we'll sell it for $5,000.
I finally got chrishollifield.com registered.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess it's been a while.
Was it porn before you got it?
Yeah, we just left the porn up.
Oh, cool.
You know, get some
you go.
traffic
It
there.
just happens that there are pictures.
I think
of me.
everything
I mean,
doesn't everything default to porn before you get it. That's what encourages people to buy their name.
Is that what you tell everybody? It just defaulted to porn. Defaulted to porn.
That's what happens at work when you get caught. No,
Yeah,
it's a
I
default.
wonder.
I
I bet alexvelluto.com is just straight porn right now.
You know what I did in high school? I was going to go to Rick's college. So in high school, I was at in the computer lab, and I'm like, I'm going to go to this school, and I type ricks.com. Not Rick's college. I didn't realize it's ricks.edu. So I full blown opened up a ton of porn on my high school computer.
Nice.
Yeah.
There you go.
Jealous. Was it
Slightly
good?
embarrassing. I think I was like so scared that
No time to enjoy it.
if your teacher sees that, you're dead meat.
Yeah. Anything else you want to add, Alex, before we let you go and enjoy the rest of your beers?
Nah, it's been fun. Thanks for having me. I was wondering if you were mad. I wasn't invited for a long time.
Well,
You were wondering if I was mad?
Yeah, maybe I offended you guys.
No.
All my other friends are on the podcast, and I don't get an invitation. I felt like you had been miffed.
It's tough to get everybody on this podcast.
It's
Yeah.
true. All
Please
right.
don't. And if you're listening right now, don't take offense. Everybody's going to have a turn.
Well, you'll
Oh,
have
totally
your
take
day.
offense. We just only pick favorites. I'm just kidding.
It's
I'm
tough.
just
Okay, it's
kidding.
tough because it's like I go through spurts of comedians, and so then there'll be a lot of comedian episodes, and then people will be like, "Oh, you need to interview other people besides comedians." So
Well,
then,
those people are stupid.
but no, I'm not, and I tell Chrissy this all the time. Do I
Yeah.
not? That I love bringing comedians on the podcast.
Yeah.
because they're just fun. They don't worry. They just have fun. You know,
It's just a like an enjoy an enjoyment.
Just to get to know each other,
good
hang
conversation.
out. I think it's because comedians also get podcasts. A lot of other people don't really. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And we're totally into the narcissism.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, I get to talk about me for an hour?
Yeah,
What a
exactly.
dream.
So true.
Well, okay. So, anything else you want to bring up, Chrissy? Before
I would, and I know I say this all the time, but we really have an amazing comedy scene, and I really think people need to go check out Alex.
do you have any shows that you want to promote coming up in the next little while? This will probably be up in a couple weeks, but
I'm waiting to hear on one this weekend. I'm not sure if I'm on it yet or not. But follow me on Twitter.
And that's the
then
best
if
way.
I am, then I'll tweet it out.
That's the best. That's what I tell everybody is really stay up to date on, because who knows, somebody might listen to this a year down the road, you know. So, and then by then you're going to be living in Queens.
Yeah.
So,
Unless I'm convinced to live somewhere else.
go to California. At least
yeah,
enjoy
I was
the
going to
weather.
go to
At least
LA
enjoy the
and New
weather.
York and compare the two.
See, I grew up outside of LA. I love the weather.
But you also love New York. Which one do you like more?
California.
Oh, okay.
In a heartbeat.
All right, cool.
You don't have to deal with winter.
That's true.
Yeah.
I hate winter. Do you like winter?
No, it's
Cool.
stupid.
All right, we can be best friends.
Yeah.
All right.
Even though you're a morning person.
On that note, we will end the podcast there. Thank you so much, Alex.
Thanks for having me.
You bet. All right. Many thanks goes out to Alex Velluto for coming on this episode of the podcast, for joining us, for sharing his story. I love when comedians come on the podcast. They are some of my favorite interviews.
Well, they're so interesting. I mean, they all have gotten into this weird realm of life that they all end up finding each other, but they all got there for different reasons.
And they all got some of the weirdest quirks and personalities.
Oh, they totally
I mean,
do.
I've gotten to know so many of them over the last 4 years of doing this show.
Yeah, there's a comedian called Jackie Cation, and she talks about how comedians are just a parade of autism.
I love
And
bringing
I'm
them
always
on.
like, yeah.
Comedy podcasts are some of my favorite podcasts to listen to.
They're so, yeah.
And I love
'Cause they
hearing the
think out of the
stories.
box. It's so interesting.
But IamSaltLake.com/241 is going to be the links for Alex Velluto. Reach out to him on Facebook. He doesn't have a website. I think he said he doesn't have a website, right?
He doesn't yet. He needs to get on that.
Oh my gosh. That's like the first thing everybody should do is set up a website,
Yep. You can just direct people there.
direct people to the website. I mean,
But Facebook's cool too.
we live in a world of digital media, online fun. Yeah, connect with him. Go check him out next time he does a live show. Like Chrissy and myself said, we saw him open up for Tom Papa. Fantastic show.
Yeah.
I know Chrissy got pictures with Tom Papa. I didn't even get pictures with
but
Tom.
Tom Papa's eyes were closed in
Well,
all the pictures.
He was relaxed
He was so relaxed.
when he had his arm around you, Chrissy.
No, it was really cool to actually meet him. He's one of my heroes.
Yeah, I was so glad you drug us out to that
Me
comedy.
too.
I want to start going to more comedy shows. And I know we
Yes.
say that a lot, but I mean, it's
But
true.
It's something that's so
I mean,
worth going
Wise
to.
Guys has so many great,
They have good people coming every weekend.
every weekend, and a lot of people that have been on previous episodes of I Am Salt Lake
Yeah.
are right there. And I try to keep you guys up to date on all those. So make sure to connect on Facebook and Twitter, and then we have a I Am Salt Lake community group. It's just a group of us, completely different than anything else.
And you can hop in, talk to us about what you want to hear,
Yeah.
who you want to hear from.
Yeah, absolutely. And
Tell us
and-
your thoughts.
And tell us your thoughts on the podcast. I want to thank, again, our sponsors of the podcast for making our world a better place with their wonderful products.
Distillery 36
Oleo Skin and Beard
and Holy Guacamole.
for the Live Holy Festival. Links to get in touch with them will be at iamsaltlake.com. There are a few ways that you can support the show. I know people ask me all the time. They say, Chris, you do a great show. How can we give back?
If you really want to support the show and you don't really have anything to give, just share episodes with your friends.
Yeah.
Take your favorite episode, be like, you guys should listen to this.
Share
it's
it
great.
on Facebook,
Yeah.
Twitter.
Introduce your friends and family to it.
Yeah. Go knock on your neighbor's door. Say, hey, check out this podcast. It's called
Do you have a moment I would like to speak with you about?
this wonderful podcast.
wonderful podcast.
Of I Am Salt Lake. Leave an iTunes review, though. I know a lot of you haven't left that. It takes just a second.
It can even be like, high five.
Yeah, it doesn't need to be crazy, and that really helps the podcast out immensely. If you are feeling extra generous, you can become a Patreon support. Go to patreon.com/IamSaltLake. There's also a banner at IamSaltLake.com.
Yep.
I know Chrissy made that up. It's a beautiful
Right on the
banner.
front page. Can't miss it.
Click on through to that. I know there's just a couple of perks, what we set up right now. I want to come up with some more ideas.
We're going to be building our Patreon page more and more.
And that's a great way to support the show. I mean, we got this wonderful new office space, and it'd be nice, if you want to support it a little bit, $1 or $2 goes a long ways.
Totally.
And keeps the podcast moving forward. Before we do leave this episode, I want to tell you about another awesome local podcast. What is that podcast, Chrissy?
The Utah Foodie. Great.
I love this podcast. If you love podcasts, you definitely want to check this show out. If you're from Utah.
And if you love food, check this out.
They've been talking to some amazing people involved with the restaurant and food establishments here in Utah. A few of my favorites. I know they've talked to, actually recently, Penny Ann's Cafe.
Oh, I love that place.
They recently talked to them. I know they've talked to like the Chocolate Conspiracy.
Oh, nice.
A lot of foodies.
It makes me so hungry to listen to their show.
That's why I can't bring a lot of food people on this podcast. I just want to get. I just want to eat
all the time.
Eat all the time. The Utah Foodie, iTunes, Stitcher Radio, however you listen to podcasts. Should we close out this episode, Chrissy? I don't know.
Sure.
I mean,
we have a lot more coming soon.
Yeah, we got a lot of podcasts. Make sure to subscribe to this one in iTunes.
For sure. We're going to be talking a lot about Comic-Con soon, so people will definitely get enough of our voices.
I just kind of want to regroup my thoughts.
Me too.
On Comic-Con and kind of sit back a little bit. And that's why I didn't want to do it on this episode.
Yeah.
Just because I feel like...
I think we're still kind of processing the last few days. I know, and we've just been kind of staring at each other like, well, that was a weekend.
Yeah, panels,
That's about
and
it.
cosplay, and people, and loudness, and
it was
alcohol,
really cool.
and I mean,
and more alcohol.
I need to go on a bit of a detox. I mean, how can people find us, Chrissy?
They can find us on Facebook. I Am Salt Lake, or our personal Facebooks, Chrissy Shelley or Chris Hollifield. Twitter at I Am Salt Lake, and I am at Chrissy Tweets. Or you can email us. I'm Chrissy at IamSaltLake.com.
And spell her name correctly.
Krissie. And what's your email?
It's Chris, CHRIS at IamSaltLake.com.
That's a hard one to remember.
We also have a voicemail and text. Nobody uses it, so I don't know. There's probably not a whole lot of reason to keep talking about it. 385-202-5926. You can actually text that number as well. Nobody will ever pick it up. I mean, we just set this up. It's a Google Voice number we set up for the podcast.
We'll play recordings if you want to leave one.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't have to. We just love to hear from you guys.
Yeah, get your voice on here.
But if you don't want to use it, no big deal. It's there. It's available.
Should we do the dad guilt trip about this? I mean, we set this up for you, but you don't even use it, so...
I have too much fun doing this podcast with you, Chrissy.
Me too.
A lot of fun. IamSaltLake.com is the website. It's where you can go and connect with everything, listen to all the previous episodes. We're here about once a week with a brand new episode. Usually comes out Sunday evening, Monday morning.
Yeah.
Subscribe. It's absolutely free. And
join us.
Get out. Enjoy the city this week. It's going to be a beautiful week. Love the city. Buy local. And we'll catch you again next week. Bye now.